Elven warrior trapped on modern-day Earth. Two friends with different destinies meet at a magical school. These are some of the stories we at Electric Lips Comics are working on. You can get your copies of both The Mana Chronicles and Tales of Mithril at elpmerch.com. Support independent creators. Explore the merch featuring exciting ELP Comics art with a wide range of designs. Electric Lips Comics. Imagination electrified.
Welcome, everyone, to another Conversations in the Void. I'm your host, Graveyard. I am producer-less tonight just because we are so close to the holidays. My good friend Salem couldn't be here tonight, but regardless, I am pleased to introduce our guest for tonight, writer, director, producer, actor with works including Stranded, Project Mothman, and of course, Don't Fuck in the Woods, the one only Shawn Burkett.
Hello.
How you doing tonight?
Not too bad. And yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Like I said, prepping for the holidays and just kind of day job too, getting busy as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. We love having these special episodes, especially with people like yourself as another indie creator. And, like I said, Christmas is Wednesday. My wife will kill me if I did a show on Christmas. So
Fair enough.
So, Shawn, I like to get to a little bit know about you and your mindset of horror. So, do you recall what your first horror movie was that you watched?
I do. There was the first horror movie that I watched, and then there was the first horror movie that I actually picked out to watch.
Oh.
So the first one that I ever saw was The Wolfman.
Ooh.
My grandpa was like my babysitter, and well, he knew that a TV would just keep me pacified. We used to go to the local video store and just rent like 3 or 4 movies, like each time we went, just to I can still remember this to this day. The first horror movie that I picked out was I Spit on Your Grave.
That's a hard one to pick first.
It is, but I mean, there was something about the cover that just, I was like, I gotta know what this is about.
Yeah.
And I was 8 years old.
Yeah. We're about the same age here. Walking to the VHS rental store at that time, right?
Yep.
I know for me, like the one where I live, horror was its own separate building.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm like, that's an interesting take of it. But I remember like being really afraid of Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger at like 3 or 4 because we're old enough to remember Beta and VHS.
Oh yeah.
And I remember Beta disappearing from the video store.
I can remember the first movie I saw in Beta was The Last Starman.
Ooh. It's a good one.
My grandpa had all kinds of things. He was one of those people who even taped TV shows.
Yep.
That way he could rewatch them.
Yeah.
And man, he loved this show called Mantis.
Mantis.
Yeah, like it wasn't a great show. It was interesting, but it was like, okay.
Yeah.
It was like, isn't this just the Guyver, but just for TV?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's awesome. It's nice that you had someone in your life that was able to introduce you and let you get these horror movies, because I grew up as no horror allowed.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So of course, I dived into horror to get tattoos and just went hog wild as soon as able to, and just ate it up. So kind of, I like to hear what people think and just movie ideas for me too, for my other show I do, a podcast where review horror movies. Do you have a movie that you just go, you know what, you've never, you go, hey, Graveyard, you've never seen this movie. You're going to stop what you're doing and watch this right now.
I'm kind of that way when I hear people have never, and this is kind of a childish one, but when I hear that people have never seen the Monster Squad, I'm just like, but why?
Right.
Like, I'm sure you've seen The Goonies. Why haven't you seen Monster Squad? Like, that's a big one. And Critters.
Yes.
Critters. Like, man, that movie is kind of what spawned my fascination with creature features. And just, that is just a great creature movie.
Oh, yeah. If it wasn't for Critters, we'd never have Leonardo DiCaprio for Critters 3.
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, Wolfman's got nards, obviously. Yeah, right. It is Goonies, but it's the Goonies meets the Universal Monsters as Monster Squad.
Right.
Yeah, I love it. Do you have like a favorite like guilty pleasure horror movie that you like? People like, oh, you like that movie?
I'm trying to remember, like, oh, yeah. Silver Bullet.
Ooh.
Like, some people, I feel, are just way too hard on that movie. It's like, there have been, like, I don't know, a handful of decent werewolves in film history to where it's like, listen, I get it kind of looks more like a bear.
Yeah.
But it's still neat. Like, up until you see it, that last freaking shot, you know, the whole time you're like, this is an awesome werewolf.
Yeah.
This is gonna be awesome. So it's like, I get a lot of shit for Silver Bullet for some reason.
Yeah. But I believe that's part of the Dollar Baby program, though, that Stephen King was doing, where anyone's able to buy the rights for it for $1.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I love cheesy movies too. So Shawn, then on the flip side, is there anything like as a franchise or IP TV show, anything that is horror that you just go, why did this make $1 billion? I don't get it.
There's a lot of those.
Well, yeah.
Oh, where to start?
It's a safe space. You can say it. We say The Conjuring and The Exorcist all the time here. So
I'm trying to think of, me and my roommate, we talk about horror movies on a daily basis, and I can't think of any of the ones that we've talked about recently. The Scream franchise.
okay.
Like, I liked the first three, even though the third one wasn't necessarily the strongest.
Right.
I did not like 4 at all. Like, not even a little bit.
Right.
Deputy Judy was at least funny.
She was.
Um,
Wear a vest, save your chest.
right. And then she passes out.
Right.
To where, like, I don't know. For me, I guess can we just kill her already? Can we kill Sydney?
Yeah.
Like, and it sucks because I know that there's several cast members that were a part of Scream who in their contracts can't die.
Right.
So it's like, then what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, let's have one final freaking showdown, just winner take all, and just be done.
Yeah.
But they'll never be done.
Well, I mean, arguably, I would say that the Scream franchise is the only one that's really had one timeline as a franchise.
That's true. That's at least true. That is a big positive.
Yeah.
When it comes to horror as well.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has Laurie Strode died?
Right. Well, which version of
Exactly.
Laurie Strode? Oh.
Yeah. But I mean, I get your point. You know, the way I viewed 4 was that it was a parody and meta of the reboots that showing that they're not necessarily good, that you don't need to revisit them 15 years later.
Well, nobody understood that assignment for the people who made 5 and 6 and now 7. And then
Yeah.
after 7 comes out, they're already trying to talk Kevin Williamson into doing another trilogy of it.
Yep.
So it's just like, listen, I guess this goes back to even like with Tarakas International and the Halloween like franchise. Like, we get that these things make money. We know they're gonna make money even if they're horribly bad. Fucking Leprechaun in Space made money even.
Hell yeah, it did.
So, and when he went back to the hood.
Yep.
So it's like, we get it. It's just, could you do something more with the writing? Or something like, I don't know, just.
Right. Yeah.
But everybody says that this is for a different generation. It's like, you can't put out a movie every year and say it's for a different generation. Like,
right.
there ain't been enough time for another generation to happen.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I think they were trying to because I think originally is what Wes Craven was going to do was 4 was going to be the start of a new trilogy that he was going to do, but then unfortunately he passed, and then they go, hey, here's the legacy trilogy that we now have, which we're now essentially getting with Saw 10 and 11 and up to till poor guy dies.
I gotta say, and I'm sorry to backtrack, another guilty pleasure of mine is, oh my god, my Soul to Keep.
Ooh,
that is such an underrated movie.
Yeah, it is.
It's like I love how they talk in it. They talk like the Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
so it's like the Gilmore Girls of horror.
I like it. I think they should do a season of Gilmore Girls, so it's just a horror movie, American Horror Stories, but in the Rhode Island.
Yeah.
All right, so Shawn, kind of getting into you're talking about your writing of love movies. So how did you get into filmmaking then?
Oh, by accident. I had always loved horror movies, but I never even thought about trying to make a movie at all until I saw the movie Hard Candy when it first came out.
Okay.
And that just changed my perspective of movies in a way. Like, wow, they did so much and put you on the edge of your seat for so long, but they didn't really do anything. Like, it was just a clever misdirect. To where when that came out, I started thinking like, I could probably write a movie, right? But at that time I was a touring musician. So that wasn't in the cards.
Right.
But when I ended up having kids, I stopped touring.
Okay.
And one of my friends from high school, we used to set up at a Waffle House and smoke cigarettes and play a movie game. And he told me about Joe Bob Briggs was having like a script competition, and if you won, they'd make your movie.
Oh.
So we were talking about that, and I didn't know anything about writing. I didn't write at all at that point. And he was working on it, and the more he was working on it, I could see how passionate he was getting about it. And I'm like, why don't we just try to make a movie?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've made a couple music videos. They can't be all that much different than that. So at that point, we gave it a shot, and that was in 2011.
Okay.
So I don't know if that answered the question.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's interesting because I've talked to a lot of indie creators and comic book creators, and a lot of people when the pandemic hit, everyone started writing because everyone was at home, right? but you were doing it well before that. So, clearly you saw Scream 4 and you go, well, if they can make a movie.
That probably is what happened. That's the true story. I was like, well, shit, people are paying money for this.
Exactly. So, I mean, as someone who's been on a couple of movie sets in the past year and a half, and I'm gearing up for my 2025. I mean, let's face it, making a movie is an accomplishment.
Yes. I mean, I just wish that more people understood what it takes
Right.
behind the scenes to actually make a movie.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have either a great team or several people who have another like gear in their brain that are able to just see things that you don't see.
Right. Yeah. And I think you nail it right on the head. A great team is critical. I was talking, I think, to you about it earlier. I talked about it on the show too, is, this last movie that we did at Horror Dad's Untitled Footage, we started in May. We're like, all right, we're going to set a week aside. We're going to do this. And then for principal photography. We did that. Still didn't have enough. We didn't get everything we needed. So we started Weekend Warrior, this stuff throughout the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, we're good. Wait, no, we still have a couple more things to do. And so come August, the director came to my house and I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'll buy you all the Halloween decorations you want this year if you get killed on screen. She goes, okay. So I looped my wife into it. We did it at my house. Our actor couldn't come down that was the killer, so I filled in for him just because I was ADing and had a part in it. And like, you know what? We gotta get this done. So we did it. We made it happen. But it's all in good fun. It's a lot of work, and you have that team. If you have a great team, you can make anything happen.
Oh yeah. But the worst part of it, though, for me, scheduling.
Right.
That is just, and I try to keep my like cast and crew to a minimal, but like something with like Don't Fuck 2, to where there were, I want to say 14 cast members.
Wow.
Plus crew, plus looping in where we were staying, like the lodging, because they were also basically our catering.
Okay. Yeah.
So they needed to know what days we were shooting, what times we were shooting, to know when they could have what food ready, made available beforehand.
Ooh.
So it was just like, and what's crazy is that, that movie, that was the first and last time that I wanted it to feel like a movie set, like catering and this and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Never again.
Never again.
That was, I got more wrapped up, worried about people's accommodations, kind of.
Right.
To where it was like, this isn't what I should be focusing on at all. Then
Yeah.
It's crazy because that at that point in time, that was the most money I had, like $15,000 to spend to make a movie. And luckily it was like, I want to say $5,000 for, we stayed at a campground.
Okay.
And they provided food, lodging, everything for that one price.
That's not a bad price. I mean,
Yeah.
for indie creators, it is a price, but
yeah.
So I mean, with that being said, talking about Don't Fuck 1 and 2, and even Stranded, you have multiple movies set in the woods. Why do you think that as humans and as a filmmaker, the woods are terrifying to us?
They are. The woods can be, you find the right patch of woods that is just beautiful, and you have a preset. I mean,
right.
That's production value. Just that beautiful, be it a waterfall or like just the trees, the right angle with the sun and everything. That's, you can't buy that. You can't make that. So it's like that plus everybody, no, I don't care what anybody says, and I fully admit it. I am terrified of the dark.
Okay. Yeah.
Everybody subconsciously, at least, is like, if they hear a noise and they can't see it and it's dark, they want to know what's in the dark.
Oh, of course.
I mean, something's there.
Yeah.
So that's the second. I mean, yeah, anything can happen in the woods.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd say even so many stories and folklore, legends, and settings are like the edge of the woods. You have the village back in the day, and you have the dark woods. Don't go into the woods, right? Because who knows what's out there?
Right.
It's we as humans, we're not the apex people in those woods. Everyone else is more suited to see us than we are them.
Right.
So, I mean, with being in the woods and stuff like that, how much, obviously with the lying and stuff like that too, how much is it taking time to find the perfect scene or the perfect setting in the woods for your shoots? Do you like do a lot of scout locations first?
I used to. Yeah, I used to spend like weeks just scouting places and but with my last film, Stranded, I loved that one the best because it's mainly set like on the side of the road.
Right.
And we built that entire set inside of a barn.
Really?
So it's like anything that happens around the car,
Yeah.
we are in a barn.
Wow.
Like we built that set. We brought in Dave Chappelle lives nearby, and at the time we knew the people that managed his property, and they had a
Okay.
bunch of like tree limbs and debris that they had cut. So I think it's funny to say that Dave Chappelle's trees are in Stranded because that's all we used.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome though to be able to build a set like that though in the barn because you can't tell honestly.
Right. The opening of Stranded, once it turns night, that's actually my old apartment.
Okay.
The woods. We just literally taped uh some tree branches to uh light stands and then bought some of these vines on Amazon and just
Yeah.
yeah.
See, and this is why I do the show. I love learning behind the scenes stuff, especially of stuff that I watch too. It's just it's ideas, right? Because I happen to know the John Hancock who wrote and directed Let's Scare Just to Death and Prancer. I've been to his house where they filmed Prancer
Oh dang.
because he's not that far from me.
Yeah.
He's like maybe 30 miles away from my house. And so just to be able to go, like, I remember watching this as a kid, and now I'm here where they set this. It was just amazing. It is all his property. And you know what? You got to do what you got to do, right? And it works.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have to ask this. We talk about cheesy movies and campy stuff. You've been on record saying you love Sleepaway Camp and, Slumber Party Massacre. So I love cheesy movies, but I feel like the 80s camp movies are so much better back then than, say, Sharknado is the more recent stuff.
Oh, 100%. Like, I feel like when people in the, like, we'll say even 90s to 2000s tried to make, like, stuff like that, it just came off like,
Right.
I don't know. It was just, it didn't have the right patina to it. Like, I was a big fan of the late 80s, like, cheesy stuff, like, Beverly Hills Vamp.
Yeah.
Granted, a lot of them were just kind of raunchy, like skin flicks in a way.
Right.
But they had this essence of comedy that was just like, why can't we do that now?
Right. Yeah,
Like,
I agree. I mean, do you think Don't Fuck 1 and 2 is your love letter to that era?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew. The only reason I made Don't Fuck in the Woods is because two reasons. One, my film before that was titled Bludgeon, and it was about a serial killer. And somebody told me that the title and artwork was misleading and did not fit the film.
Okay.
And it was about a serial killer who went around smashing people's heads in.
Okay. Yeah.
To where I was like, that's it. I'm gonna make the next movie I make. The title is just gonna be right there. There ain't getting around it. Nobody can say it's misleading in any way, shape, or form. And yet they found a way to say it was misleading because they were like, oh, well, it's a porno. And it's like, oh, damn it. No, it's not a porno,
Right.
but it's not misleading. Like, that's not misleading, right?
No, no. I mean, it teaches you not to fuck in the woods.
Right. Something that they've been trying to teach us since the 70s.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah. I gotta ask, in my head, especially with Don't Fuck, obviously there's nudity in the movie. Do you find those hard to shoot?
what's great is that most of the people, I've never had like a weird experience. I just, I'm upfront with people. I'm like, hey, you do what you're comfortable with.
Uh,
I just wrote in this like sex scene. I don't go into description or anything. So at that point, when you see what you see, that's because they wanted you to see that.
okay.
So like the only thing I have asked is like, are you cool with nudity? And everybody, I've never had to
Right.
pressure
Yeah.
anybody. Um so it's like everybody's been cool with it. They were, and like that's a super close set anyways for any time we do that kind of stuff.
Right. Oh yeah.
And normally I'm not even there watching it. Like
Are you on the monitor?
I'll have a monitor, I'll be in another room or outside and
Yeah.
just so it's pretty easy going, and everybody that I've worked with has been really easygoing about it. So
Okay. Yeah. Because I'm just like, a couple I've worked on and stuff that I'm writing as well. I watch, other independent creators just going like, how? I mean, in my head, that'd be hard for me to shoot. I don't know why.
when it's there's some things um well, Don't Fuck in the Woods, when they're in the tent before she gets ripped out of the tent.
Yeah.
I was filming that one, so I'm holding the camera,
Uh-huh.
and it's actually in the bloopers at the end of it. I'm holding the camera and she's just sitting there like rubbing my leg, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what, why are you doing that? And she's like, I don't know. uh I feel like I have felt awkward plenty of times, but nobody else did.
Well, that's good though. That means that they feel safe on your set, and that's important. So if not that, so let me ask. I always like to ask, what has been the hardest scene for you to shoot, whether shot wise, special effects wise, for you?
Um, action scenes.
Okay.
Action scenes. Because most of the time, like I've had to get into the world of having a stunt coordinator and having a stunt man, which
Right.
luckily I know one of the greatest stuntman men in the world, Dale Miller. Uh, he's just amazing. He was in the 2018 Halloween, the kid that
Okay.
gets like hung on the fence.
Yeah.
He was the stunt double for him.
Wow.
So he's got a ton of experience. But in Mr. Buzzkill, uh, I like impale a girl in the back with a saw, and I lift her up above my head as the saw is still going. Um, to be able to get wide shots of that, and like we got a lot of coverage of that, so we had to have a wire system come
Yeah.
in, and uh, it probably took about 4 hours between setup, shooting it, all for like maybe 10 seconds of the film.
Yeah.
So it's like, it looks cool though. So I
Oh
guess
yeah.
that's what matters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you're the first independent creator I talked to that's done the wire work, quite honestly.
I wasn't a huge fan of it, but uh it got the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's awesome. You know, I talked to Mike Lombardo. I don't know if you know him, the independent creator. He was sharing scenes of and shots of his 3D printed chainsaw blade for the chainsaw. That it's a working chainsaw, but it was just 3D printed chain.
Huh.
And I messaged him like, dude, you gotta tell me how you did that. And so I got the little behind the scenes secret from like, wow, and this is why I love horror movies, is because you think about the original Halloween or Texas Chainsaw or Evil Dead. They're not any different than you or I, and making this close knit, small, independent horror movie and doing what is needed to get done. I love it. So yeah, it's been awesome. We're at the time, so let's get into these wrap up questions. This flew by fast for me. I hope it did for you. I hope you're having a good time. So overall, then, what would you say is your favorite scary movie that you could just put on 24/7?
I hear a clock counting down, but it's not there. Wow. Let's go with American Werewolf in London.
Ooh, it's a great one.
That's like that was my rainy day Sundays, like as a kid. So
yeah, easily the best werewolf transformation in a movie.
There's people, I've gotten in so many arguments. They're like, "No, the Howling's better," and I'm just like,
"No,
bro, no. Like, it's good, it's real good, but no."
Yeah.
Like, as far as what looks realistic, no.
Oh yeah, he looked like he was in pain transforming.
Right, like he sold it.
Yeah.
And then the other one's just like,
yeah.
No.
I love the howling, but let's face it, the female reporter howling at the end looked like a Pomeranian. All right, Shawn. I said I've done now almost 70 episodes of this, and only one person's answered the question one way. The other 68 have answered another. Practical or CGI?
Practical.
Yep. And the only person that's ever said CGI is someone that does VFX work for horror movies.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I use both, but sometimes practical just doesn't hit the mark, so you have to beef it up.
Right. And I think that I love practical, obviously, of us being born in the 80s and watching practical effects and seeing the horrific 90s CGI. It leaves a bad taste in us. But I think that like even Stranger Things season 4 with Vecna showed that you have practical, but you enhance it then with CGI.
Right.
I love it. All right, Shawn. Someone knocks on your door, gives you $10 million, and says, here's a free form to create the next movie in this existing IP or franchise. What would it be?
Oh, the next one? Wow, I've never been asked that question. I've been asked what movie I'd want to reboot. I'm gonna have to go with Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Ooh.
To where we would go back to the original and we'd make a sequel from that.
Okay. So
we'd Halloween it.
You'd Halloween it?
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully execute it better at the end.
Evil will not die tonight.
Yes. I'll say that 10 more times for you in the next minute. No, I mean, I think there is a works from, I think Blumhouse is doing a Creature soon, but I don't think it's going to be as good as the original Universal.
Right. Like I've got hope for the Wolfman.
Yeah.
But man, after what they showed at like horror nights,
Yeah.
that was kind of hard. That
Uh-oh.
that looked like something out of The Hills Have Eyes, not the Wolfman.
I can see that.
Like, I don't know. I was expecting something completely different.
Right.
But I still have high hopes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
see it no matter what.
Oh, of course. Of course. I have an episode planned out for my podcast to watch the good. I think I'm gonna do the original Wolfman, and I think I'm gonna do Benny and the Bulls, Benicio del Toro's Wolfman, and then this one just to compare the OG ones across the
Yeah.
board. All right. So Sean, any advice for people getting into the field of filmmaking, especially indie filmmaking?
Don't run, become a lawyer. No, I'm kidding. Work smart, not hard. You don't have to. I see a lot of new filmmakers, and they're just like, oh, well, we've got to find someone to do this, someone to do that, someone to do this. Do it yourself first. Because I feel like if I wouldn't have done that,
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have, and I don't feel like I've succeeded, but like I'm able to continue making films. And I don't think that if I would have just found someone to do all these jobs, I wouldn't know half the things that I would really need to make a movie.
Right.
Like, do your research. Research is first and foremost most important.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I was on a set about a year and a half ago. I think we talked about it on the phone a little bit ago. My first experience being in the horror film and just working on set. I go, hey, I'll be a PA. I'll do whatever is needed to make this happen.
Right.
And I did that. And I go, this is awesome. I want to do this more. Like I said, I used to do skits and sketches, horror stuff like in 2008, but I just career and family started. So I'm like, I guess I'm not doing this. I should have stuck with it, but shame on me being 40 and still doing it now. But you know what? I'm enjoying it. I have no reason to stop doing it.
And as long as everything is able to get taken care of, then I mean, I know that's why I do it. It's like this is my like, other than scheduling, this is my like release. This is my creative outlet. Like,
yep. Yeah, and I love that. I used to be a brewer. Moonlight as a brewer at a brewery too. Just that was my creative outlet. And then pandemic hit and all that went away. And I started doing YouTube shows during the pandemic just to do something creative. And it's led me back to doing what I started doing in high school.
Yeah.
So, all right, Shawn, you ready for your random horror trivia question?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right. What 2015 found footage film was shot as a documentary that follows a group of haunted house creators as they prepare the Abaddon Hotel for opening night?
I'm going to take a guess because I've never seen this movie, and I'm sorry if this is that movie. Wait, 2015.
Yeah. They're prepping the 5th one right now.
Okay, so it's Hell House.
Yes.
LLC.
Yes.
I'm my buddy Travis, that's his one movie. He's like, you need to watch this. You don't understand. And I think it's because I need to just buy it because I don't like advertisements.
I know what channels you're talking about.
Every time I see it streaming, I'm like, I need to check that out. And I'll hit play and I'll get 5 minutes in and then there's ads and I'm like, no. Because it takes me out of the movie watching experience.
Yeah. I completely agree. That's while Tubi and movie and all that stuff is great for us for watching. Yeah, it's rough.
Now, see if you wouldn't have gave me that hint, I was leaning towards the Innkeepers.
Okay,
but I couldn't remember. That wasn't necessarily a group.
Yeah, and I know people I'm sure you know their names too, Marcel and
Joni
no,
or
Jennifer.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, they do all this recreation, trying to find all the stuff from Hell House LLC. I had them on the show like last year, and just they love that movie to no end. You should check it out, though. Really should.
Yeah, it's on my watch list. I've got so many watch lists. It never ends.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, I talked to my team. They're like, "Have you seen this new indie found footage movie or this indie horror movie?" Like, I have it. Like, writing scripts, doing this show, I do like 4 different shows a week for 4 different channels. Like, I already watch like 10 movies a week as it is. I'm bad at it, but this is why I do the show, because I go, you know what? This is a reason to watch Shawn's movies for him coming on. So
you're saying I need to start a podcast so I can watch movies.
Yes. That's what I did.
I'm horrible about it. I've got a stack of movies because I'm a physical media guy.
Yes.
And like there's a movie that just that didn't just came out now, but like a couple months ago, Frogman.
Yes, Anthony Cousins.
Because I live like a half an hour from Loveland.
Yep.
So it's like that sparked my interest. And then the fact that I could find it at my local Walmart, then like as a businessman sparked a different interest to where I'm like, TerrorVision, huh?
Uh-huh.
Maybe I need to send them a message or something, like see what can happen.
Oh yeah. I have the Frogman Fucks special edition VHS on my shelf over here. Anthony's a really great guy. Met him multiple times. So yeah, I said I'm a big physical media guy too. I have laser discs.
I have like 5, but I'm not gonna get into those because there's a place nearby that has so many for dirt cheap.
Really?
But I have no way to play them. I just get them because it's nice artwork for the walls.
Exactly. I may have 400.
Wow.
All horror movies too. So I may have an addiction. I'm not saying anything. But no, I agree. I think you should definitely do it because honestly, if I was able to make a laser disc, I would. The machine's stupidly expensive, weighs a couple of tons. Yeah. But VHS, yeah, and Anthony's done it right. Just to have VHS as a Frogman at Walmart is insane. All right, so Shawn, before we go, give us some plugins. Where can people find you and follow you on all social media?
I feel like either just searching my name, Shawn Burkett, or at SM Burkett on Instagram, X, or Twitter, Twatter, whatever it is today.
Hopefully it dies and we'll just go to the blue sky.
Yeah, I can't say that I get on there. I can't say that I really get on any of them very often other than Facebook. So if you really want to reach me, Facebook or conceptmediallc.com, we have a contact submission box.
Awesome. Thank you, Shawn, very much for coming on the special Saturday episode of Conversation in the Void. As always, I'm your host, Graveyard. Follow us on all social media at PodOutatNight. And we'll see you next time. Don't get lost in the void. Good night.